All right, in this video, we're going to learn about processes. So by processes, I mean command line applications. For example, YTDLP, MPV, FFmpeg, all this. So we're gonna learn how to work with them. So I will be using FFmpeg, MPV, ARIA2C, and YTDLP. So there are a couple of different ways you can install them. You can use package managers or something. You can use the winget or scoop, or you can even directly download them. So you just need to install YTDLP, FFmpeg, and MPV. So if you're not like familiar with winget, scoop, or whatever, just search download whatever you want to install, and should just take you to their download pages. Don't click the download source code. That will just give you the files, I guess. We are looking for executable files, so yeah, install from whatever OS you are using. Yeah, I noticed it's pretty hard to see where the download files are. You probably want to choose full build. Full build probably contains everything, every codec. So yeah, go ahead and install YTDLP, FFmpeg, ARIA2C, or whatever. So I'll probably try to use all of them in the upcoming videos when we are learning about processes. So once you are done, you can check the version you are installed. Normally, like this is the common convention, right? Using double dashes and version, but FFmpeg takes only one dash, ARIA2C double dash. So yeah, just use those syntax or convention to get the version. FFmpeg version. Yeah, I'm using the full build 8.1 version, and okay, let's try MPV. So I'm using 0.41 068 or whatever. So I'm using this version. Also check ARIA2C version. So ARIA2 version is 1.37. So what the hell are these, right? FFmpeg, well, it's you can do very ton of cool things with FFmpeg. Normally, I just use it to clip my videos and encode it to lower sizes using, like, I just compress videos and generate thumbnails. And then I think you can use FFmpeg to download videos if you are using YTDLP. And ARIA2C is a general video download, a general downloader. It can download direct links. You can give it a list of URLs and it will download it. It also supports like segment download, concurrent download, or whatever. So it's a way it can download files very fast. And then we got MPV. MPV is a video player. It's very good when we are scripting. Like, I feel like MPV is the best video player that just blends perfectly in when we're scripting. And then we got YTDLP. YTDLP is a is um it's used to download YouTube videos, but there's ton of other your website it supports. So it's like a general video downloader for websites or something. All right. So now that we have every programs we want we will be using, let's learn how to work with them. And I forgot to mention, all the files or programs we downloaded, you need to make sure they are in the environment path variable. So let's search for environment variables and set it up. Right, I go to the path. So this is for users. You can set it for system variables, so every users on your computers can access it. So what this does is when you put an executable file in a path, you can use your terminal to access that executable anywhere from any directory. That's the pretty that's what it's for, I guess. Normally, you can just run an executable for using just a name in any directory. You need to use the full path. But if you put the executable in a path variable, you can just launch it from any directory. For example, I am using MPV version, right? Although MPV is not in the Mr. Cap directory, I can call it because it's in the path variable. I'll show you. So it's in somewhere here. Right here. I also make sure that whenever I add a executable or whatever, I always end with the slash. So it just picks up everything in that folder. If you leave the slash at the end, it might not pick every file in the folder. So yeah, just make sure all your executables are in the path. That's pretty much it. Okay, now let's get started. Run a command and wait for it to finish. Let's do that. So we need to use the exec package. It has a command method, and all we need to do is pass a executable file. So this notepad seems to be in the path. That's why they're not passing the full path. So exec command, and I'll just use the ffmpeg, right? So this returns a pointer to CMD. This CMD as args cancel dir env error extra fast path process std error std in std out combined output run start, all sorts of different stuff. All right, so we need to call run. Okay, so what does run do? Run starts the specified command and waits for it to complete. The returned error is nil if the command runs, as no problems copying std in, std out, std error, and exit with a 0 exit status. If the command starts but does not complete successfully, the error is of type exist. Okay, if the command starts but does not complete successfully, the error is of type exit error. Other error types may be returned for other situation. If the calling coroutine has locked the operating system thread with runtime lock OS thread and modified any inheritable voice level thread state, for example, Linux or plain and namespace, the new process will inherit the colors thread state. Bunch of gobbledygook, I don't know. So calling this error, calling this command with run gives us error if all right, if it if it's if it fails or something. So this gives us error. So if error is nil, we just print launched successfully. Launched successfully. All right, so let's try calling ffmpeg. So this is equivalent of just calling this. So when I call the ffmpeg, it just outputs the you know, the version and all the installed packages and shit. All right, let's run it. Go run. Okay, launched successfully. So we launched a program. Cool. Nothing interest happened. Okay, now let's capture the output. We can use combined output, which is a method and a command. Let's see what it does. Combined output. So what does combined output returns? It returns a slice of byte and error. So let's just call this data and error. Combined output runs the command and returns its combined standard output and standard error. So this combined output gives us both the standard output and standard error or something. So we are handling the error. Cool. Let's just print the data. So the data is bytes, so we need to convert it to string. So we can use the string function and pass the data, and it will automatically convert the data to string. All right, so yep, we called a function, we called a process, and we captured its output. Already nice. All right, now we can start a process without waiting. So what run does? So last time we used run, right? The run is a blocking call or something. It just waits for the command to complete. But we can use the start instead, which is non-blocking. It just starts the process and immediately returns. So let's just get the command again. So this returns command. So Yeah, let's just call command start. Calling start returns an error. Cool. So this just returns an error, and we are so error indicates whether the start completed successfully or something. I don't know what this error means in this case. All right. It didn't even run this code. Let's let's use the else block. I don't know what to say here, so I'll just say some garbage text. So yep, the so the error is not nil. So what is it? What is it? Let's print the error. So it eventually becomes nil or something. So it goes into the else block print. Okay. So shit. My check is kind of backwards. So this branch is supposed to be when I get error. So this is the branch where I don't get error. Okay, now I don't understand what's the point of using start. What's the point of using start? So run is basically start and wait combined into one call. You start when you want the process to run in the background while your Go program keeps doing other things. So this is command um we haven't seen this yet, so it's okay, we're gonna wait. Right, so this line we haven't seen this yet. Anyway, so the start, so they're calling the start, and the start gives us the error. They're handling the error. So if they don't have error, they just print ffmpeg is running. They do other work, and then they wait for it to complete. So what's the point of using start? Launching multiple processes concurrently, starting a long running process, MPV, ffmpeg, browser server, killing the process later with cmd, process, kill, applying a timeout with context. I don't know. I haven't come across context. streaming standard out standard error while the process is running. For example, if you want to stop ffmpeg after 10 seconds, so we're just launching. Okay, so this is the command and we start it, and then we use the time package sleep method to sleep for 10 seconds, and after that we get out of the command, call the process and kill it. You can't do that with run because run blocks until ffmpeg exists. Go do your thing, I'll check on you later. So the only difference between start and run seems to be run is basically two things. It starts and waits. On the other end, when you start, you have to manually call wait to wait for it to complete. The start seems to be more manual and it gives you some more controls, I think. All right, so stream standard out and standard to standard error to your terminal. So the command as std so what is this? It seems like they are assigning, so it seems like they're overwriting the standard out with the OS standard out. Seems like they are reassigning fields. Command standout and command stand error are fields on this exact command struct, and you're assigning them new values. So cmd is a struct which is a type of IO writer. When you do when I assign OS standout to cmd standout, you're saying anything the child process writes to std out stdr, send it to my terminal. So that's how you kind of print the stuff on your terminal. cmd stand out. std out. So this just means anything the child process writes to std out and std error. Okay, this is really hard to say. Anything the child process writes to the output, send it to my terminal. I mean, if you look at it closely, it does seem like it's reassigning std out value. Anyway, let's see what happens. But didn't work. It didn't work though. Okay, seems like we need to run this later after we are done assigning. Okay, that didn't work too. Could it be sometimes the ffmpeg outputs to standard error? So let's also use stand error. What about now? Yeah, this goofy looking FFmpeg just output the version and some stats to standard error. Yep, it is outputting it to standard error. Let's also run mpv version. Does it work? It may or might not work. Yep, it didn't work. Right, let's cut this and paste this outside. So we got a command. That's the name of the file. Okay, let me just see if it works. Yep, it works. I haven't we're not learning how to pass arguments yet, but this is how you kind of pass the arguments. You just use the program name and the arguments after that. We'll take a look at it later. So we learned how to kind of like stream the standard outputs from the commands we are executing to our terminal. Pretty cool. So yeah, last time we used the combined output, which gave us the bytes, all the bytes. So this doesn't give us bytes, I think. Yeah, it doesn't give us bytes. So there is no way to get all of the information. It just only dumps the text to the terminal. All right, now let's run a PowerShell command. So we just call the PowerShell. So these are the arguments. So this looks like a complex argument. We don't need to worry about them. Anyway, what is this command? Anyway, let's try running some very simple command. Let's use PowerShell. Also, you might have it saved as pwsh or something. So I'm going to use the pwsh, and one common command is version table, right? PS version table. When you call the PS version table, it gives you the PowerShell version. So let's call this. I'm gonna launch PowerShell, and this is the argument. I don't know if it works. Let's see if it works or no. Yeah, it doesn't work. Why? Why doesn't this work? Okay, so exec does not run through a shell. So our line is interpreted as PowerShell, some variable name. PowerShell thinks this variable is a file name script to execute, not a command to evaluate. use command. So command, yeah, we need to use the command. All right. Okay, there we go. We just used PowerShell to run this custom command. Now let's say I want to call dir. What happens? Remember, the dir is a shorthand alias for get child item. So get alias dir. If I do this, okay, this dir is not an alias, it's a function in my profile, right? I removed dir alias from the PowerShell because I wanted to use a different dir. Anyway, so the dir is just internally it just calls get child item. All right, let's see if we get the same output. Shit. Yep, we get the same output. So we can literally run PowerShell commands from our Go program. Right, cool. I created a JavaScript file that just logs hello world to the console, basically terminal. So this is equivalent to using fmt println in JavaScript. Let's see if I can run this in our Go program. To run a JavaScript file outside of browser environment, we can use the node. You need to install node if you don't have it, but you don't have to. I'm just testing something. So let's just use the app.js. Right, let's see if it runs. There we go. We just launched, we just ran JavaScript from Go program. Basically, we can now capture the output. Although this is not a very structured output, we could like let's say we could stringify this. Let's create an object. Let's call this data. Okay, let's maybe call this message. Hello world. And then we can use the JSON stringify and data. Boom. Now we got a JSON. Now we can parse this JSON in our Go program if we want to, for some reason. Seems like a pretty basic, like something a noob developer would come up with this idea. Let's see if we can come up with some very sophisticated ways to kind of get past data between programming languages. So we learned how to run a PowerShell command. Run in the background and kill later. So we saw how the start is used to kill processes later. So that's pretty much it. You just use the start method and then you use the kill later. I feel like I'm not gonna use this yet. There's no like reason for me to start something and kill later. Like most of the time I'm starting something for for it to complete, right? So usually you don't just call kill, right? You just use like call kill method when the user reacts. For example, when the user want to cancel something, you just say press Control C or press 1 or something to cancel the operation. So that's when you react to that, the event, the action. When the user wants to stop, you just call process kill under the hood. So there we go. We learned some very basic stuff. So we learned how to launch, and we learned how to capture the output, start a process without waiting, and capture the standard output and standard error. And we ran a PowerShell command. And we looked at how to start something in the background and kill later. Now let's take a look at how to capture output. Although we saw it earlier, maybe there are some other things we can do. So most of the time we'll be capturing output, right? So this is the very basic like version, the basic way you can do it using the combined output. So the combined output gives us slash of byte and error. And then we can just print it. Again, use the string function and then pass the data. There we go. Although I got like I got a new line or some space. I don't know why. Why that is. Okay, now let's run the PowerShell command again. So there's this command echo. Let's see if it works. So echo just repeats the whatever text you put it afterward. There we go. So it just printed whatever we put after echo on the terminal. Under the hood it uses like write host or something. So let's use the get alias for echo. So under the hood it uses write output. So these are like Unix like commands. There is no dir, there is no ls, and there is no touch in PowerShell. These are just aliases for boomers who use Unix terminal. All right, let's see if it works. Cool. For some reason, right, it it prints it printed them a new line. Why? Why did it do something? What did it do? It printed it on new lines. Why? Because echo in PowerShell is an alias and write output, and write output treats each argument as a separate object. You effectively ran hello world, but because of how exec command passes arguments, so this is the command we use: PowerShell command echo hello world. PowerShell sees command echo, and then hello world becomes an additional argument to PowerShell itself, not part of the command string. The argument parsing gets weird. The simplest fix is to pass the entire PowerShell command as a single string. So this is the command, and we need to pass it as a single string. See how we are using the single quote inside double quote? This is necessary because, like, if we use the double quote, it doesn't know where it starts and where it ends. Yep, cool, now it works. The reason we were able to call this command is because, well, this is not a parameter, I think. Yeah, still doesn't make any sense though. So this is uh, the the program we want to launch, and this is the argument. This is another argument. Yeah, this echo program takes hello world as argument. Something weird is going on here. I don't understand. So the PowerShell takes this whole thing as argument, but echo takes this thing as argument. Very weird. Anyway, that's the basic way to capture the output using the combined output. Now let's try to capture the standard output. If we use the output, if we just use the output, we only get the standard output. Output runs the command and returns its standard output. Any returned error will usually be of type exit error. If std error was nil and the returned error is of type exit error, output populates the standard error field of the returned error. So what is this? So this output returns two things: slice of bytes and error. Cool. Again, the same thing. So yeah, we capture we're capturing these commands output, standard output. Now let's try a command that throws error. Run a command that throws error in standard std error or something. Okay. We can use get item. So we can use the get item let's say bullshit txt. So there is no such thing as bullshit txt in our directory. So we should throw an error. Let me run it on our terminal. Get item bullshit txt. Okay. So yeah, this does seem like an error because it's in red and shit. Okay, let's see if it even error. This is a error, so this should populate the error. The error object will won't be nil, so this will get printed. Okay, we got exit status 1. What is it? What does it mean? So we got exit status 1. That doesn't tell us what's going on. So that's why you probably want to use the combined output. This also gives us the standard error stream. So now the data will also be this. We'll probably get this. Yep. So this is from the if check, and this is the slice of bytes we received from the combined output. So the data is both standard output and standard error. Okay, now let's capture standard output and standard error separately. To do this, we're gonna need to do some stuff. So last time, you know, we told the command to also populate our own terminal by assigning os.standout, right? But this time we are just passing a buffer. So let's create two buffers. Standard out. Let's call this standard out. Buffer out. How do I get the buffer? There is no such thing as buffer type. So we need to go to the bytes package and grab buffer from there. So bytes buffer, and then stde bytes buffer. All right, so this gives us the command as standard out. So when we do this, like when we assign it, we're probably telling it to also please put the data to the data here. So put the data to our buffer, please. Basically, it's like we're saying put the data into our buffer. You see the error? Okay, what the hell is this? So now we have two buffers. These buffers as a I believe string method. We can use them to get the string. The reason we couldn't convert, we couldn't just pass the buffer to string function is because these std variables aren't buffers. They are of type struct buffer. That's why we need to use the method. So this is the standard output. Let's do standard error. Okay, this is getting weird. Why didn't it work? Okay, we didn't call run. Okay, so the standard output is empty. Standard error has this string. So that's how you kind of get standard output and standard error separately. Okay, the last thing we can do is stream output while the process runs. We looked at it last time, just a couple of minutes ago. So this is just kind of like puts the text or logs into our own terminal where we called it. So we're using the buffer to fill in the buffer, but instead of that we can use the os std out and os std error. So this basically streams the output to our own terminal. There we go. Nice. So that's pretty much it for this video. We're gonna check some more concepts. Next, we're gonna check out how to pass arguments.